Hi everyone, this is Tanya Gibbs from Psycho Mom Scrapbooks and More, and I have a new version of Plaper. What I've created is I've taken some scrap patterned paper, and I have fused the bag inside of it rather than freezer paper. It's still plastic, as you can tell. It's still pliable, and now it is in a pattern. So this is how I did it. I'm going to follow. I'm not going to go through the complete steps of doing this because they're all in tutorial 1. But just to show you what I've done is I have my standard grocery bag just as before. I have selected my scrap paper that I want to cut or to use. And I'm a big fan of using up my scraps when I can. So since I've created this one, I may make another rose and use this as another pattern within that rose. They're from the same paper collection and they are old. So do not ask me, do not email me and ask me where I got this paper because I have no idea. Anyway, so what I'm going to do here is take my 2 sheets of paper. And if you had one long sheet of paper, you could by all means just fold it in half. You wouldn't have to necessarily have 2 separate sheets. If you see what I'm saying, if they were together like this, and you just fold it over the plastic. So I happen to have 2 sheets of paper, so that's what we're going to use. So then I took my bag and I followed the same instructions as I did before with being careful on how to fold it. But this time, after I cut the handles off, because I'm using a smaller piece, after I cut the handles off, I cut the bag and cut the bottom off. I cut the bag down the middle and made it into 2 separate pieces because all I really need is a small piece to cover this. And as you can see, this one is not fitting inside. These 2 pieces of paper are 2 different sizes. So I'm going to have a little bit of excess right here. Well, I do not want to touch that with my iron because if I do, it's going to melt. So I'm just going to take this and cut off. And again, I don't care. Well, those scissors do not work. I do not care how neat it is because I'm going to die cut this. So if you're wanting a perfect square, take it to a paper cutter and cut it. But I would recommend not trying to do that because you are going to make yourself crazy. I would trim it after the fact. So just allow some extra overage for trimming. Then all you're going to do is take your iron, same settings as before, and you're going to lay it down. Now, because this is paper, and depending on the thickness of your paper, you may have to iron it a little bit longer. It is sliding, so be very careful. It's not as secure as it is inside the freezer paper. Hold it down with one hand and press very hard. And just hold it. Now, this is going to take quite a while because it is it's got to heat all the way through the 2 pieces of paper plus the plastic. So it's going to slide a little bit, but that's okay. So to speed this process along, what I recommend doing is holding it in place again, and it's kind of fused to the top piece, but it hasn't fused to the bottom piece yet. So flip it over, and it's going to curl. Do not worry about the curling. Plop it over and heat it up again. Once this cools, it will flatten out. It's the heat that's causing that plastic to curl. So if you just keep applying pressure, you want a lot of pressure on this because it's got to cut through a lot of thickness. Be very careful. This is hot. You do not want to injure yourself or, burn yourself with this. And this iron has got to be hot, no steam. Just keep flipping it. See, that time it didn't come apart. It's actually in there. But it's not quite heated up on the edges as much as I'd like. So I'm just going to make 3-4 passes with this with the iron. And there you go. Now you have patterned paper Plaper. Patterned paper Plaper. I really need to come up with better ways to name things. Anyway, I just thought this was cool. I wanted to share it with you. My next project, I'm going to try and cut out some, make some other things other than roses to show you how this would. But this would be perfect too as the charms on the cookbook. If you wanted to use this for, this is very hot, that's why I'm dropping it. But as you can see, it's just as pliable as the other. Thank you for watching.